Alexander's Computer Services. Dean spent 25 years as a paramedic, at which point he decided that his heart and his back decided that it was time to look for another line of work. 12 years ago, he started this firm, ACS, Alexander Computer Service. It's a family-based computer repair business. They have 3 full-time technicians serving small businesses and residential clients throughout Philadelphia. A+ and Server Plus certs with CompTIA, and they are respected members of the Better Business Bureau, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Association of Computer Repair Business Owners. So, Dean, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. And I'm actually, I'm sorry to say this, less interested in the computer stuff and more interested in the ramp up to the computer stuff.
Well, I'll ask him about the computer stuff, so you ask him about the ramp up.
So tell us, how do you go from, it seems kind of distant from one to the other. What's the progression going from an EMT circumstance, first responder circumstance, to saying, hey, this isn't working. It's obviously a very, very, very physical job. We know that. Into this, like, so what took you down that path and then led you to path number 2, so to speak?
First of all, it's a young man's game.
Okay.
And I was getting to be not a young man. The back was really screaming and telling me it's time to do something. For the last 5 years, it was just very painful.
I'm sure.
But right up to the very end, I fought it. And finally, my heart agreed with that, to say, I don't need to see any more of that anymore. Let somebody else take over. And there's plenty of guys, younger guys, to be able to do both. So 25 years was enough. I hung up my stethoscope, and how it progressed into the new occupation was kind of neat, because on shift I used to help people with their computer problems just to pass time. We do have a lot of downtime according to what station you're in, and I was able to help them, and I never charged for it. It was never a business. It was just something fun to do. So when it was time to start something different in life, this was a natural progression. The hardest thing was just to learn how to charge, because I'd much rather do it for nothing. And so it was beginning to learn how to run a business and run it as a for-profit adventure. And that took several years, actually, to learn that whole process. So the first couple of years, the income was not producing, but we were able to get through those years and then move on to where we are now, which we're supporting several families.
I appreciate the fact that you've referred to it as an adventure,
yes,
as opposed to a venture, which is wonderful. Tell me about you were initially a break-fix shop.
Yes.
But you've developed into what is referred to as a managed service provider?
That's been an exciting change, because the break-fix shop sits and waits for a problem to come to you. And I enjoy doing that, and I enjoy the investigative work of finding something that's broken and actually fixing it, which was really similar to my first occupation.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
EMT and computers.
But the beauty of the difference between the two is the first occupation, seconds matter. My new occupation, I don't even wear a watch. You know, we'll get it done as quick as we can. I've enjoyed that difference. But the break fix doesn't address your real needs. It addresses your need of, when it's broken, to get it back in order. What I found is, just like the human body, it's much better to take care of your body so you don't end up in the hospital in the first place. So we've applied that same theory to what we do with computers, and we take care of our clients' computers proactively so they don't break. Now, of course, some things happen now and then, but for the most part, we have clients that have computers for years that run just like they were brand new, and continue to run that way because of all the tools that we put into the managed service provider.
Mm-hmm. And how do you watch over it? Like, what's the protocol for, you come in, you meet a new client, whether it's maybe an individual consumer, a business, whatever the case may be. How do you go about, what do you do? Like, how does it get set up? Because I think most folks, if I had to guess, are thinking like, oh, well, I open up my computer, I set it up, it's good, and then all of a sudden something happens to it, and then that's when they look for help.
They give us a call. And
Yeah,
that's the
exactly.
break fix
Yep,
event.
that's it. So
if we can get it before it gets out of the box, and we have most of our clients trained now to not open the box. If we can get it at that moment, we set up parameters within that computer so that they can't hurt it. Of course, the mouse is mightier than anything.
Sure.
But for the most part, we take out the junk that will only hurt them that the manufacturers put in. We put in protective tools. We put in monitoring tools that monitor the activity of the computer 24/7. So as soon as there's a problem, we also have resolution tools that are in there that a problem arises, the resolution tool fixes it, and we just get a report at the end of the day that said it fixed this many computers with this many problems. If it's not able to fix,
I'm sorry, is that something that like happens behind the scenes? Like
Yeah.
the user
All-
might not even know it's taking place?
all transparent, and so the user could have a serious problem, the problem's resolved, and they never even know it, other than at the end of the month, I might give them a call to say, you've had this problem, we're going to keep an eye on it, but it might be where the computer's starting to show its age. Right. But
Sounds nice.
it really is. It keeps them from having to worry about their computers because they know we're on top of it, we're watching it. But if it is a problem that cannot be resolved immediately, I get an alert on my phone, a text message that says, your computer has this problem and I have to get to it. So we'll respond to it that way. And particularly for the small business clients that we oversee their computers, it could mean something very serious, as far as them being able to perform their activities in their business. So we might be calling them or meeting them in the parking lot as they pull in the morning saying, right. I got to walk in with you, you got a problem in there. So yeah, it's really fun when we get to do that.
I can imagine.
So it's not that you get the idea that I sign up for a managed service situation, and that means you're going to be like on site like once a month or something like that. It goes beyond that. It's actually the computer doing the diagnostic itself, telling you, and literally I may not even know that I have a problem.
Correct. Yep. We call it remote monitoring and management, and it's very high tech as far as the number of things. It's in the hundreds that it's actually monitoring for each individual computer system.
That's fantastic. The question that I have is that sort of relates to that, because I had an issue with an old assistant that you probably don't even remember, that they were doing lots of things that were not work related. Okay, like a lot, not just a little. I get it. You want to check your personal email, Facebook, depending on the business, will allow it, disallow it, whatever. Do you do any monitoring to monitor over what folks at a company are actually doing, and then get reports on that as well that can be reported back to a business owner, that kind of stuff, for like a safety reason? Because if somebody's tapping into things that can potentially create problems, that's not so good.
We have the capability to do that type of monitoring. If it's Facebook kind of things, a lot of companies now are shutting down Facebook from coming in their building, and we do that for them because Facebook is just becoming so lethal, with productivity. It's up to 50% productivity loss for the average small business now because of Facebook. So some places are just saying enough. But as far as the bad behavior of downloading programs, that we automatically can monitor, and we do that proactively.
So that's all part of this
Correct.
remote access monitoring that goes on every day.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
So tell me about remote repair. That's something that I'm interested in, because have grown up in the break fix kind of situation. So the idea of calling the computer guy and saying, well,
It's
yeah, I'll be
broken.
there. It's broken, and then getting I can get there on Thursday. Okay, so tell me about remote repair. That seems to be something that's really something that you guys are expert in.
We've developed the skill over the years. We're able to connect to the computer as the client's calling us. So when the client is calling us, we're looking at the caller ID, and as we're looking at that, we're connecting to their computer. So by the time they start describing the situation, we're already on the computer. And we're saying, okay, I'm coming on with you, is that okay? And we're looking at their computer, and we're fixing it as they're initially talking. And that's one of the fun parts, because we can fix computers a lot of times like that in minutes. So the whole downtime of waiting for us to come out, which we used to do, and them trying themselves, which is kind of the bigger problem, is if you don't try to fix it, we can fix it pretty quickly. If you try to fix it, we have to fix what you broke and what you damaged.
Guilty.
So there's a bit of advice right there.
Just call first. And we'll take those calls all day long because they're real quick, and we're just able to handle it right away. All that, requires us to have a connection to that computer.
That's what I was going to ask.
So we have to begin the relationship before the problem is ideal. A lot of times the viruses will actually attack the program from going in. If it's already in, we're pretty safe. But if it's not in yet, we have a little bit of work to do to get it in. If that's the first phone call, can't do it, just a little bit more work.
So again, that goes back to don't even take the thing out of the box.
Yes, let us touch it first.
Yeah. The interesting thing about this is, so there are times where you're obviously out on the road, you have to be. There's somebody else at what I'm going to call the command center. So it's not just you. There's more to all of this than just one guy with a tool, keyboard, whatever. There's a group of you that are handling these kinds of things. Like, so how does that all work? Are you the outside guy and there's like a guy sitting at like I picture like Captain Kirk chair, you know?
I'm the guy that goes to the lunch meetings.
That's the guy to be.
No, there's three of us full time. As you mentioned, we're family based. My wife and my son-in-law are the three full-time techs, and most of the time one of us is in the office during our office hours. There is a rare occurrence where we're all out on emergency site visits, but that's really rare these days. However, even from my cell phone right now, I could be repairing one of our clients' computers. We have it set so that we can use mobile technology for remote access. So if I'm on the highway and you're having a real problem, I can pull over to the side of the road and just dial into your computer and handle it that way.
Wonderful.
It's great.
So tell us about, let's get into the whole growing the business kind of situation. You've been in this business now for 12 years. You came from a completely different industry. How do you grow a business like this? What's your take on it?
Right now, we're looking to grow more in quality than quantity. I would love, to be able to help more people, and we're all about that, regardless of what we can do for them. If somebody calls, we do everything we can to help them. But in order to be able to do that and continue to do that for more people, we have to find how we can do what we do currently well and refine it. And that's really what the remote monitoring, the more we can use technology to kind of do the easy work for us, the more we can focus ourselves on the harder task. So a lot of what we're doing in even right now this year, we have a plan to automate some more of our work. And it takes out a bit of the hands-on touch and feel that the clients are used to, but when they see on the back end that their computer is running so much better than what we used to connect once a month to do our maintenance, for example. And that was great. But once a month now, because the internet is just so polluted, is not enough. So with our remote monitoring and management tools, we're able to connect every day and actually do tune-ups on a daily basis instead of monthly. That's the type of automation that the more we can do that, the better the client is served, and then we can apply ourselves to new adventures in that area.
Yeah, and it's the idea of spending some more up front, which is
sure.
always a lot less than fixing a problem, just like you said. I mean, there's no question about it. I fixed computer problems, and it's not always the cheapest thing to do. So you have to take a little bit of time up front. It's sort of like reading the directions of a model.
No.
So that's not.
This is guys here now. We're talking.
Yeah. So my first move on a model is to throw the instructions away and then just try to figure out what the remaining parts are for. So it's not usually the best way to make a model.
Probably not.
Same thing with a computer. It reminds me of the same thing.
Can you expand on that? I'm gonna go off book now. So get ready.
Here we go.
You said the internet is so polluted. How did that happen? like how can we, is that genie just out of the bottle? I mean, can we fix that?
No, it's too profitable. There is
Profitable.
way too much money involved in hacking and viruses and all the damage that can do, that as long as those guys are getting paid, which they're getting paid very well, the internet will always have problems. It's migrated into Facebook now. You can easily get problems, on Facebook with the different videos, the different things you click on. So it's no longer just those sites that we all used to know, stay away from. it's the sites that everybody's going to. Some of my own websites have been polluted.
Really?
Yeah, they've hacked onto the website, and I've had to clean it up.
How about that?
Yeah. It's
So
everywhere.
tell us about backups.
Well, that's a great segue, because if you don't have backups and you get certain viruses, you're out of business. If you depend on your data, and your data is your lifeblood for your business, and you suddenly have, for example, the crypto virus, all your data is locked, and you don't have the key. And if you want to try to pay the ransomware, you may or may not get the key after you pay the money, to the thieves. But what we try to do is always have a clear copy of your data stored off-site, so that when you get the virus, we still have a spare copy to be able to put your business right back in order. For the residential market, we try to keep that very affordable and just do the data itself. Your files, your pictures, people have a lot of investment and time and archiving of that information. So we make a copy every night. We validate the copy in the morning, so we know that we're getting everything that we promised to get for them. The business is a little different, and that's where you mentioned the expense involved. The business have to pony up a little bit more, because we actually have a live copy of their entire server in the building. And that's their server could fry, and we can get them back up in minutes using this, we'll say backup server, for lack of a better description. Mm-hmm. But we also take that whole image and once a night throw that up on a cloud. So even if the building melts, we can put them back in service within 24 hours.
I have a client whose building melted. There was a fire in their server room, and wow, it was not easy. They had an APC battery backup that they think shorted out or something, and it caused a fire accidentally. Nobody, sometimes it happens. And
It sounds like this is a backup for a backup with the cloud and everything.
Right,
Yeah.
right. You have to have it out of the building.
And
But
they didn't at the time. This was like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, where cloud-based stuff was a little bit less, prevalent as it is right now. It's not as
and less trusted.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Now it's a lot more trusted. You're right.
You're actually better off in the cloud with your data than on a pen drive in a secretary's pocketbook walking out the building.
Remember those days?
Yeah.
Well, Dean, I got to tell you, we're going to have to do another show at some point, because
I would love that.
We're actually running out of time.
Yeah, I want to hear more.
And it was, and this stuff is so interesting and so important
Right.
on such a fundamental level
to
for Main
everybody.
Street. Yeah.
I mean, look, I walk down the street and I joke about it. I see an 80-year-old with a smartphone, and you think like that's, there's almost nobody, or so few people rather, that aren't connected to all of this technology regardless of age. You have elementary school kids with cell phones going to school, smartphones for various reasons.
It's everybody.
Yeah, it's everybody. So anyway.
All right, fun stuff on the way out?
Fun stuff on the
All
way
right,
out.
I got 3 cool things.
I got a better cool thing for you too.
Well, then let's.
No, go
Okay,
ahead.
the
go
3
ahead.
cool things. I looked up. The thing that I thought was the coolest, that I thought you would think is the coolest, is this.
Number one, without a doubt. Yeah.
No, Kiwi 3, the onboard diagnostic thing. You're a car guy.
No, I
You
want to
plug this into your car and it tells you what your
You wrote
engine is doing.
Nah, that's fine. This other piece that you put on here, coin-sized tracking device that
Yes.
I can like glue to the bottom of my kid's feet.
You could.
Yeah, that's what I'm most interested in.
And it's and what it does is it creates, because it's in the cloud.
Yeah.
It's everyone that subscribes to this is now your partner. So in other words, you can put a thing out that says,
Right.
"Where's my kid?"
Right.
And they're
all
find
on
it.
the lookout for him.
So
Kinda
that's how it is.
interesting.
So that's what Main Street's all about this week.
All right, so I have one other quick thing.
You got to get us out of here.
Yeah, I know. We have 2 minutes, so I think it was a device. It's like a small drone. Okay, so you know how everybody or lots of folks have, and I have it from skiing. You have the cameras on your
sure.
helmet, so I can watch the kids. And so it was a drone. You have like a watch with some type of tracking device in it. Toss the drone up in the air, and it follows you with a camera. It's really,
That's
really
very cool.
It was very cool. I saw
It's
the
actually
videos
similar
of
to
it.
this Sphericam thing with 6 lenses and 360-degree, but this thing flies.
This thing flies,
So that's-
and it's got like a 20 or 30 minute flight time. So you see like kayakers using it.
Yeah.
They just toss it up. It drops into the water, pops out of the water, comes up. It's like maybe 20 feet behind you. There's all sorts of very cool things.
Pretty cool.
I forgot the name of it, but
We'll look it up.
We'll look it up next time. So
Thank the first responders.
I will. So I want to thank everybody, the whole crew. Tim Milway, our director, thank you for another great show. Dean, Stu, we want to make sure that we're always talking about our first responders that are out there. Please make sure you're taking care of them. And what my suggestion is, there's nothing wrong with stopping by the fire department, dragging your kids there, letting them meet the firefighters. Interesting thing happened. I was with a whole bunch of firefighters last week, and they were talking about how much money in Pennsylvania is saved due to the volunteer fire groups that are out there. So think about that. They talked about billions of dollars throughout the state being saved. So they really, really rely on us for all of our support, our financial support. You might not need them on Monday, but you might need them on Tuesday. So you can't forget about them on Monday. They're there every day serving the community. So please don't forget police, firefighters, the EMT. It'd be a real tragedy if you needed them and they weren't available because of funding. So keep that in mind. So thanks for another great week. We'll see everybody out on Main Street. Have a great week. Thanks, everybody.